Welcome back, everyone. This is Nick. We've got Marcus, and Marcus is going to run us through Steve Aguilar's 1972 Buick. Where are we at with this?
All right, so as you can see, the car has no sheet metal on it. We got it down to bare bones, but we're working on some of the fundamentals while a lot of stuff is gone. So been putting a lot of work into the motor, steering, brakes, and just getting all the tolerances sorted out on this thing. You can see we started headers. So if we come over to this side, we got these headers mocked up roughly, just working around our master cylinder, our steering shaft, wheel tub will be in here, getting all those kind of ran and routed. He wants to run a bigger tube on this car than what we would normally run. And with this being an LME engine, with head design being a little different and a couple little things that just aren't quite what we're used to, custom headers it is.
So there was nothing on the market that
No, we couldn't get anything to work without either having to modify toe boards or shave bell housing and just cause a whole bunch of more issues. So here we are doing custom headers on this thing.
So the passenger side went pretty straightforward, but the driver side is obviously you got a lot more things to work around.
Yeah, passenger side went super smooth, pretty straightforward, not a whole lot of issues over here. But that side has a lot more going on between steering shaft, brakes, making sure your plug wires are going to be routed right, deciding on where we're going to route plug wires. So it's been that side's been a little bit of a challenge, but this side's tubes are all welded out. These are going to end up getting polished. So tubes are just sitting in place right now. They'll get pulled apart, individually polished, come back to us, and we'll go ahead and weld them all and get them ready to rock and roll. Along with that, you can see we got air intake tubing started, but like I said before, we got some stuff off to powder coat, so we can't go too far on that without knowing where our fenders are going to be, where our wheel tubs are going to be.
Are you doing an air box in the wheel well?
Yeah, so just like the Chevelles, it'll have that same cone K&N air filter that we almost always use on all the cars. Sean's over here kind of redesigning some of this core support, because if you see down here, the stock core support comes a lot lower, but we're using our Chevelle inner fenders on this car. So we're bringing all this up. We're making a little space so we can actually run a core support bushing versus just being metal on metal. Just getting all the little things sorted out while we can and while things are out of our way, and just making progress, good time management, and keep things moving.
I see we have some latches.
Yes. So Steve wants this thing to have electric latches all the way around. So we've been working on hood latches right before everything had left. We also worked on putting some Corvette door latches in this, a Corvette trunk latch. Some of it's soft close, some of it's not. Just kind of working through what it's going to be like to run our wiring, get a cable in there, because you got to have a backup cable if anything goes wrong. Just getting all the little nitty gritty things that you kind of forget about till you go to use it. But so far everything's going super smooth and we're super stoked.
And this is all going to get closed out because from what I remember, this is going to be another piece right here, and the hood's going to open up away from the grill.
Yeah, so typically there's a little bit of a flange on the front of the hood. And so this grill's actually going to come up a little bit. We're going to change some of this. It's going to get a closeout that comes from here to here, and it's going to flow into our radiator cover, and it'll all be custom. That's why we got a bunch of scan dots on this thing. George is designing some of that right now. We're also going to end up doing custom bumpers on this, custom grill, and just a lot of the little things that you can't quite get off the shelf, and add a little extra of that Ironworks flair, I guess you could say.
Yeah, definitely going with the plus on a Legacy Series on this
Yeah,
one.
this one's not quite just a legacy car. It's gone a little bit further than we originally had thought, but we're super stoked and excited to keep moving on it and show off some of the stuff we like to do around here.
Got the radiator all mocked up. Got those SPA fans in there. Yeah, this is looking good.
Yeah, so come into the car. You can see we got a bunch of stuff welded out, finished. Wheel tubs are done, X-brace is in. We've been working on our steering column angle in conjunction with our headers and brake master cylinder going on in there.
So that's something I wanted to emphasize on a little bit here. So with these cars, the steering column is actually getting repositioned at a different angle for better drivability, comfort.
That and just steering wheel placement. And I don't think a lot of people realize the steering wheel doesn't really sit straight in a stock Chevelle. And so when you go to sit in the car with a wider tunnel, with the Camaro seats, we just like to get steering wheel centered, and then also not just centered but straight, so you're not driving like this, you're not driving like this, so it's square to your body and it's centered on the seats.
So on a factory Chevelle, is it off to the driver's side or to the passenger side? Do you remember?
I think it's off to the driver.
I think so also.
I'm pretty sure it's off to the driver's side.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
And you and I both have Chevelles, so hopefully we do know what we're talking about.
Well, and the reason why I wanted to confirm that was because mine is off to a little bit to the driver's side. I noticed that more recently, but I wasn't sure if maybe it was just tightened up out of position or whatever. But now I guess you just confirmed that.
I'm pretty sure across the board, none of them are really that centered.
Yeah.
But with the column, there comes a lot to it. I mean, this is gonna change up where our brake master cylinder has to sit. We got to make sure our header's going to work. We got to get around our inner fenders that we're running. So just getting all that stuff squared away.
How much of the mechanism is going to be different than traditional brake pedal? Because now with the Tesla booster, it's all still using pretty much the same.
So with the booster being higher now, because we have to make clearance for our wheel tubs, we come into a couple of different problems. We don't really love the stock pedal placement with the where this booster is set up. And this car seems to be a little different than your standard 70, 71, 72 Chevelle. So we're running into a couple little issues that we're kind of sorting through, but we're waiting to be able to get our inner fenders in and all that to really square that away. The booster sits up so high that the stock pedal placement isn't going to work out on this car. So we're going to end up having to either do a custom pedal arm or modify the pedal assembly as a whole to make sure that the pedal is not just way too high up or way too far into the right. This car has a pretty big tunnel, so pedal room is kind of something that we're really going to emphasize on and make sure that we get it right between the throttle pedal and the brake pedal. Luckily, this car doesn't have a third pedal, so we don't have to worry about that. But it's just all the little things that when you sit in the car, if your foot's rubbing on the transmission tunnel or you notice the pedal's a little too far out and your pedals for your brakes a little too in or whatever, we're just getting all that stuff squared away.
Well, not just that, but like you're sitting in the car and your torso is kind of like off to the left because your feet have to be off to the left, but then you're trying to sit straight. It just starts to cram up and feel weird.
Yeah, your toes get pretty cramped, especially, I mean, that tunnel compared to a stock tunnel is quite a significant difference. So especially with this thing having an 8 HP in it, we're getting excited to try that out. It's going to be one of our first cars that we get to run those in. For this car, we're going to be running a BMW shifter, so we'll be getting that sorted out pretty soon. It'll have a similar tunnel to what we would normally run, or excuse me, a similar center console, but we'll end up doing probably a custom insert with the BMW shifter, so we'll make a little bit of modifications to that.
Just like you guys did with the 442.
Yeah, just like the olds. So the olds, we ended up running something similar to like a Hirsch style. So we got to use all of our regular center console stuff, just made some modifications to that billet insert.
It's crazy when you look at that car to think that it's all the same stuff. It's just dressed up completely different.
Yeah, like the door panels are the same, center console's the same, seats are the same, but those little tiny things, you change an emblem here or change this line there, it totally sets you in a different car. So
yeah, and if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a gold 442 that was probably finished almost 2 years ago now.
Close to 2 years now.
Yeah,
if not
so
a
you
little
can go
bit
back
over.
in the YouTubes and it's in there because we documented a lot on that car. That was a fun one. And it was all original, not original paint, but it was an older paint job.
Older paint job that we did a patina situation on.
Yeah,
so.
It wasn't a new paint or anything. So like it was a really, really special build and special car when it was all said and done. So go back and check that one out.
Yeah. So coming over to towards the bottom of the car, we're going to do a recessed rocker trim on this thing. So if you look, we're probably a little under 1/4 inch, maybe 3/16 recessed now. So we'll have our trim that now caps on there is going to end up sitting flush with the body. That flows into this back quarter area. It also flows into our front fender and then in the front of the wheel arch on the front fender. Coming around to the back, you see, again, a bunch of scan dots. So in conjunction with doing our recess, we're also working on the rear bumper. So this thing's going to get a custom rear bumper. It's going to be a little more tucked, a couple different design elements that are changed.
I think it's going to be a lot more tucked because these
things stick out.
Yeah, people don't realize how bad bumpers on these old cars sat. Like, they weren't that clean at all. They were just bolted on.
And I think a lot of people don't understand the work that goes into it to get it tucked. So from the factory, this flange here is not 90 degrees. It's a lot wider than 90 degrees. So we've already gone in here and this bend has now been pushed in. So we have a 90 degree here so we can get that bumper tucked in as far as possible. Because with a stock bumper, you can't push them in that far. You got too much bumper going on. And then you're hitting the quarter panel and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, the tolerances back in the 70s is very loose.
Oh, extremely.
Very loose.
Yeah, extremely. You can see, same thing on this front right here where the bumper flows. We tuck that in too because you don't realize it till you go to put a bumper on that you really can't get a tight gap on here until you get rid of that inside edge. So Our fenders are over here stripped down to nothing. Our inner structure is out of them. You can see we already have the bottoms cut off, so that way we can start making that trim area. Our structures are off at powder coat with the inner doors. So once we get that stuff back, we'll be able to start working on getting our door skins on, get panel flow right, get our fenders squared away, get the hood squared away. A couple more modifications to go on the hood, but...
What do you got going on with this latch?
So, we're gonna end up running electric door latch, or electric trunk latch in this thing. So we have to move this out a little bit, create a latch that can be bolted in and out. This will end up getting cut into the trunk, this section, and this will still remain removable. So running similar latch to what we ran in the back of the Nova, but a little different. So we had to modify our fuel filler and a couple of those things to make it work with what we're doing now, but also not just look like we threw it in there. You gotta make it work, but also make it look good and know that you're not just throwing a hunk of junk together.
Yeah, so I think now, you know, because we talked about it, this car had a really nice paint job.
Yeah.
It wasn't a show quality, but it was a nice, really nice driver. And to see all the paint get stripped off of it was kind of unsettling. It was like kind of awkward in my opinion, because I mean, I liked how it looked. But now starting to realize how much body work, how many custom pieces that are going to be added onto it, this thing would have been patched so many places that it just makes more sense. And obviously Steve wanted to change the color.
And not just that, but honestly, the metalwork under this car was pretty rough. The reason the doors got stripped down to a door skin is because we wanted to straighten the door skins because they had a lot of dents in them, they had a lot of scratches, a lot of just weird old repairs that weren't quite done right. So that's why the skins got pulled off in the first place. Along with, you know, a couple little random rust repair jobs that weren't quite repair jobs. They're little back in the day 70s stuff or whatever. So yes, it was nice, but we can't just stop at nice. We like to do everything over the top here and make sure it's going to last and be, at the end of the day, our Ironworks quality and what we want it to be.
Yeah.
So we also have these quarter sections. These are actually normally a cast piece that just bolts on from the inside. But we're going to end up cutting all this in and making it part of the quarter panel. Once we have our bumper squared away, we get some of our body lines aligned with the bumper.
Oh, so these were kind of like bolted in place, kind of like a 69 Chevelle. Like,
yeah,
like,
or a Mustang or any of those. Yeah, same
Got it.
situation where they're a separate piece from the car.
And now it's going to be one piece.
Now it's going to be one piece. It'll be all part of the quarter panel. So just got to wait to get a little further before we get them cut in case body line's got to finesse a little bit.
A lot of little things that people that are really, really into these Buicks are going to be find these little nuggets of changes.
Oh, yeah.
But then to the people that aren't familiar with them, like myself, I would just skip over and not even realize.
Which I think is probably one of the cool parts about what we do here, is everything's a little over the top, but you kind of got to know the car to really see what's done. You might see it and be like, there's something about that thing, but you can't quite figure it out unless, like you said, you really know your 72 Buick Skylark.
Yeah, and to some people, this is like, why would you do it? But when you're really into these cars, there's certain things to where you love the car, but you don't like certain little features that were from back then, and you want to modernize it. Like that right there is making it to today's standards. And that's when you own a car like this, you attract the other people that geek out on this stuff, and that's when it's really cool and fun, because some people are like, why would you do all that? But the why is because you're fixing all the little things that people that are an eyesore.
Yeah, absolutely. That, and I think at the end of the day, we're all doing it because we like the end result. We all like cars. We all like hot rods. You might not like everything about your car, but if you want us to change it, we'll change it, and we'll make it whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
So it's super cool to get to do all those little changes that are not too common or not as known.
And if you're just tuning in, this is the first time that you've ever found one of our videos, I just want to let you know that you can go back and see the process of this car, multiple episodes of when it came in running, and it actually came in running. It was a driving, running, great looking car, but now it has been basically removed from the whole drivetrain and chassis, and now it's got a Roadster shop, Ironworks collaboration, IRS, fast track, unibody chassis. And that basically means that unlike the traditional car where the whole body comes off the frame, now the floor is part of the frame. It's basically this is all welded together to make a unibody, and it allows the chassis and the floor of the car to get squished together and take up the least amount of space as possible, so you get better ground clearance, you get better, you basically get the the inside of the tubs lower down as much as possible, so the new seating position is going to be more ideal for comfortability and drivability.
That, and it takes away a lot of the fab time on our end. So
Sure.
people want cars done quick. And not only is this a better design and a better chassis, but it speeds up our process a bunch. Roadster Shop sends us the inner wheel tubs. We just fit them to the car. We cut the floor out at all the pinch welds, and it comes right out. Cut the firewall out, and it sits right on. Like, super easy process when you've done it a couple times. So it really makes things move a lot quicker for us.
Things have advanced in the last 10 years drastically compared
Yeah.
to all you had before was just bolt-on items that you were, you know, cutting pockets out to do coilovers, and you were just basically polishing a turd, if you want to say, because I mean, turd-wise is, you know, 1970 technology, but now you've got full-blown chassis and floor configurations that are bringing it to today's standards of, you know, geometry.
That, and I mean, it makes things repeatable. Like, we don't have to make sure we have templates for all this stuff. We don't have to make sure we have the same tunnel template. When we get it from Roadster Shop, it's the same as the last one. When we go to mount our brackets in, it goes in the same spot as it did on the last one. So it just makes things way easier and way smoother on our end. And at the end, it's a better product. We're hoping it ends up being a little less road noise, a little less of that body roll that you might feel in a body on chassis car, a little stiffer, probably going to handle a little better. So as we start getting some of these unibody cars finished up, we're really excited to see the difference between what we were running before, which was body on chassis, to now just the straight unibody cars.
Yeah, I'm really excited once this car is done and Steve is able to drive it and put some seat time into it, because Steve has had a multitude of different cars,
Yes.
from mild to wild. He's into like OE spec cars that are like literally rebuilt and refurbished back to OE standards, and then he's also likes the modified stuff. And he's had, you know, Roadster Shop chassis before. He's had some other ones before. So I think really, for a car owner, I think he's going to be a really good person to talk to and see what he thinks this platform is compared to what he's had in the past.
Yeah, for sure. That, and it was super cool. If you guys weren't here for our open house, you should have been here. But I got to take Steve on a ride in one of the other cars that's on a Speed Tech chassis, that's body on chassis, not a unibody. He was super stoked on that. So we're super excited to get onto this and see how this is going to be, and go through the process of, you know, getting our shock styled in, seeing how the car is going to act in turn, seeing what comfort level is like, checking out road noise and all those little things, and then get to kind of see what Steve's opinion is in the end of being in both cars and seeing what it's like to go from one to the next.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing, to say the least, of just where we're sitting these days. But it's thanks to customers, car owners, first and foremost, that are willing to invest in pushing the limits, and then guys like yourself, shops, Ironworks, and then obviously Roadster Shop, to come in and just be able to manufacture these ideas and be able to cut them out one after another and keep it flowing like we're seeing.
Yeah, we're super grateful to get to do what we do. Like, when we talk about it all the time. If customers come in, they're like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're like, thanks for letting us do it. Like, without you guys, a lot of us, we wouldn't be here. We'd be doing
100%.
something else, and we don't get to do this on our end, do what we love, and give them something that they're going to love in the end, and hopefully enjoy the process while they get to do it. So it's super fun to kind of go through that whole step of.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time walking us through this current stage of the project. And like always, if you guys want to reach out and discuss possibly building your car, Ironworks don't do oil changes and services and just bolt on, you know, suspension parts or LS swaps. They are building complete builds like this. So if this is something that you're interested in, feel free to reach out to Roger and his team. You can go to the website contact page and fill out the form there, and he'll be able to get back to you with answers to your questions and what have you. Thanks, Marcus. We'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.